I'm delighted to be able to report that you're witnessing the final screws going into the wood store roof. It is now completely finished roof-wise. We're very pleased with this. As Will says, there's a certain charm, all this dappled light coming through like little stars. Very pretty.
Final screw. It's not a gloomy day, it's just that it's very early, and that is because I am having a bonfire today, and I do like to get them started pretty early to maximise the amount of time they can burn before I have to put them out. I don't like them going overnight. Today is a bit different from my other bonfires so far this autumn, in that it's the first of what I call my rolling bonfires. What I mean by that is I build a bonfire and then I continue to gather additional materials. All of this is from the Mr. Darcy Walk expansion project. And then rather than putting all of this on the bonfire and ending up with a ginormous bonfire, I just keep adding it on once the bonfire is lit. The benefits I find of that is that it's actually quite difficult to light a very big bonfire. I don't use accelerants, I use my patented cardboard box method. But also I found that it's actually easier to keep the fire going if you're constantly adding new material onto it. I've got quite a lot of additional material here, but I have had bigger rolling bonfires than this in the past. Another good thing about doing it this way is that you're supposed to register your bonfires with the authorities, which I do. But it means that I can register a bonfire of this size, but in reality I'm having a bonfire 3 times the size. It's just that it's never going to take up more than this area, which is all they want to know. So I think that's worked out quite nicely. Behind me, underneath the library water tank, next to the new vehicle storage, is where I keep my cardboard boxes. This is a combination of boxes that we receive through the post, but also that Will's able to bring home from work, so it's not all ours. And I've already emptied this storage once so far, and so we just keep the boxes coming. I will stack them up in a giant wall both sides of the bonfire, light the bottom, and hopefully off we go. about an hour and a half later, all of the rolling bonfire material has been consumed by the fire, which is now at the stage which I am happy to walk away and leave. The chunkier bits will slowly sort of burn their way through, and then what I'll do later is come back and stack them on more centrally so that eventually the whole lot will just end up as a little pile of ash at the bottom. So all in all, I'm very pleased with how that went. One final wood store update for this week. Now that you know the roof's all up, what you don't know yet is that we've also finished 2 more bays and have got to the point where we kind of have to stop. In this bay we've got felled deadwood, which is waiting there to be used when this bay has emptied, so I'll be building this up over the next few weeks. And this bay is full of the felled living wood, which is sitting there seasoning for a year or 2, we hope, until its moisture content is suitable for us to be able to use on the fire. So I'm very pleased about that. Starting to look how I imagined it would look on this side at least. And then the other benefit of that is that if I go outside, you'll be able to see where we were previously storing the wood. I've also managed to completely clear that. I haven't tidied it up yet. There's a bit of stumps and things I need to move out, and then once I've done that, I'll send the mower over it. But essentially we've now got this little bit of the property back, which overlooks our pond. Will and I were speaking yesterday about how far we've come since we've moved in. When we moved in, our wood store area was a toppled over metal water tank up by the house and a horrible pile of manky kindling, and we had to buy wood in pretty constantly when we first moved because we weren't set up yet. And then the bushfire came through and we decided we didn't want the wood that exposed and that close to the house, so we moved it down here and tried to get to a position where we were starting to build up a bit of a backlog so that we weren't constantly chasing our tails, getting wood, running out of wood, getting wood, running out of wood. We wanted to build up a surplus. And now we have built what I believe to be the palace of all wood storage systems. So I'm very pleased about that. Next week, potentially, our plan is to start moving Will's wood in. This is our portion of Will's wood. He's got wood in the potting shed, under the library, here, there and everywhere. Now Will has an idea in mind of what he'd like to do on that front, but with a certain number of quite a lot of very expensive things coming up in the near future for us, that might have to wait. So Will's decided possibly, he may change his mind, that's his right, he's decided possibly it might be a good idea just to get the wood in here for the time being and then come back and revise it if necessary. Later, he may find that even just being in here all in one place, more accessible than it is enough. He might think that actually it would be better if it was on shelves like he originally envisaged. We'll wait and see though. If we do that, I will show you what it looks like with all of Will's wood in it. And then that'll probably be the last woodshed update for quite a long time, because there's not that much more really left to do. We might do those bays, but that's going to be down the line. And if Will updates his storage, I'll show you what he's come up with. But if it stays as it is, it stays as it is. What I'm going to do now is fill my barrow, go back up to the house, and put my feet up for a bit. So I'll catch up with you at some point in the future.
You find me in the process of setting up the rodent trap. I have discovered that a combination of biscuit and peanut butter is proving irresistible to the rodents. This then goes under the house, lifting up this hatch in the bathroom, and I pop it in this void because often we hear the rodents in the bathroom, so I always assume this is the centre of operations for them. So I'm just going to pop that down there, and I'll chat to you a little bit about that in a sec. There we go. I must confess, truth be told, I haven't been as meticulous in setting this up as I usually am, and that's because, like, up until this year, this rat trap, which is what it is, has consistently only ever caught rats, and that's great. You know, they're big creatures, they fit in there quite nicely. You pop them in the car, drive them up the hill, set them free very, very far away from the house. But this year, first time, we've started catching really big mice. And the trouble with that is they can, at a certain point in the rat trap, get out of it. It's the point where it latches onto the mesh at the front, so there's a slightly bigger gap. And obviously, I don't want quite a big mouse escaping in my car as I'm driving up the hill. Nothing against mice, but I just think that's a recipe for disaster. So you have to take them on foot, and I've had them escape en route, and it's all very unpleasant. I had one the other day which didn't even want to come out. I was stood there for about 3 minutes waiting for it to come out. No matter how much I shook it, it just didn't want to go. And because of how it works, you have to put your hands quite close to the door, and there's always this risk that it's going to bite your fingers. Anyway, so I know it's not the attitude, but these very big mice have just made this very tedious. So I know they're bad. I've heard them in the walls. I've had to set it, but I'm not happy about it. Between you and me, it's getting to the point I might just send Vita down there.